What's up? Good evening. I'm late tonight. I got no intro music or anything. I'm relaxing on the couch in the control room, and there's my notification. I'm trying the um, I'm trying the camera on my laptop um, with the app. It's called. It's the actual, instead of OBS. It's the actual camera thing that they have in the in the live stream app on YouTube. And does it sound okay? Is it weird? The lighting's not great, so I'm using the camera on my laptop. Um, but you guys can hear me all right? No problem. Sounds good. Sounds clear. That's good. I tried this one other time, um, and without using OBS, and it crashed. That was when they first came out with it. And I think that the comments are actually much more um, are much faster um, than going through OBS. I think that it's actually more reactive. It seems to be more instantaneous doing it this way. So, anyways, I wasn't going to go on tonight. I was just going to sit down here and watch something and chill out. But what's up, Rob? I see everybody on here. I'm gonna say hi to everybody, but there's so many people to say hi to. um, I uh, to get same results, you have to have OBS YouTube low latency mode. I missed you guys. Yes, that's true. That's true. So, anyways, I know my camera, the lighting is not great on here. I don't know what the deal is here. There we go. I'm lighting myself. I'm doing my own doing my own light like that. Um. So, anyways, so I did the Instagram thing. How many of you signed up for my Instagram on here? Um, I put up the Queens of the Stone Age. I mean, it looks like they don't have an algorithm, but you never know. What's up, Ray? Um, so for those of you that didn't see my live stream earlier, I did about a 15-minute live stream, and I talked about, or I figured out a way. I was talking to my friend Wayne, and Wayne was telling me, Wayne owns a studio. I've mentioned him before. He owns a studio called the Ice Plant in New York City. So we were talking about his Instagram, and he was showing me. He told me to check out some stuff that he'd done, and so I looked at this one post, and I don't know that much about Instagram, and I'm looking at it, and I said, what are those little squares at the bottom? He goes, well, that's multiple pictures on there. He goes, just swipe left. So I look, and he had some cat pictures, his actual cat. I said, Wayne, you got cat pictures? Come on, man. So, anyways, so I'm um so I'm flipping through it, and I said, Wayne, can you do videos like that? And he said, yeah, you can do 9 59-second videos. I said, so could I divide up one of my, like Queens of the Stone Age or Fleetwood Mac, divide it up and put it up there? He said, why not? So I'm going to try and do this. So I cut the video up, 18 different pieces. I had to cut out about 10 seconds of the video to make it work. And I put it in part A and part B, and it's up on my Instagram. So how many of you are subscribed to my Instagram, which is Rick Beato 1? I have the whole video up there. You just watch it in parts. So at the end of each thing, this isn't a fixed thing, but what I'm going to start using Instagram for is and by the way, you can watch Instagram on your browser. You can sign into Instagram. You don't have to watch it on a phone. But I'm going to start using Instagram. I would say every video, no matter what it is that I've done, it's not just what makes this song great. Every video that I do, I edit stuff out. I try and make them as tight as possible, and and I, invariably leave things out. And you're happy I was live. It's Noxy, because you're really bored. So I invariably forget one thing I wanted to say. I did it in the first video. If you guys remember that on the Blink 182, all the small things, I forgot to talk about how the bass was played in chords. Then this channel, um, on this channel, I played it actually and talked about it before I even came up with the idea of doing the series. So I so after I made the video, I came back and I don't know if you remember this, but I put it up on this channel, a little 2-minute video where I talked about this one thing that I forgot. But really, the best thing to do is to put them on Instagram. And I'm going to start using my Instagram a lot more for music stuff and just for ideas and things like that. Because a lot of times you have an idea you want to put up, and you don't want to have to um, and you don't want to have to make an entire video. Like a lot of times, I don't want to come on and make a video if I just have an idea I want to talk about, a really whatever, just a quick thought or something like that. Um, so, anyways, that's what the deal is. I'm reading some of these things about finding a different platform than YouTube, and I'll tell you, um, that oh yeah, the thing about the solo, Kevin, I had to cut out part of the solo. That's why. That's the only way I could I would have had to split it into three things. So I had to edit out the solo. I'm sorry about that, but you can hear the solo. That's not that big a deal. I wanted to play the backgrounds for the solo. Um I'll put the Fleetwood Mac up there too. I just thought it was kind of an inventive way to kind of to do that. Yeah, so I'm trying, Instagram for more impromptu kind of clips. When I first started my Instagram, one of the first things I put up was I did a um I put up a chord on my Instagram and I said I did a contest or something about see who could figure out this chord, and I played it. And Amy Nolte actually wrote in. This is way at the beginning of YouTube. And Amy wrote in and she got the chord right. Um but um yeah, so it was on Instagram. That was one of the first things I did, but I haven't used it for music stuff that much. But um, I started to recently, or I'm starting to right now. Anyways, but I tell you why I like why YouTube is great. Everybody's like, "Oh, try a new platform." No, here's why. I wouldn't know. You guys wouldn't know me if it wasn't for YouTube. There's no chance you would have clicked on my videos if it wasn't for YouTube suggesting the stuff. I mean, that's just a fact. I got I'll probably have 2,000 subscribers today alone. I mean, I'm up to 17, 1,800 subscribers already today and still got another hour. And that's 2,000 people just in one day that signed up to my channel. Who are these people? Well, they're all over the world. And so Brandon, you said Adam Neely sent you here last year. I remember when Adam talked about my channel in a video, and and but how did Adam know about it? Adam knew about it because he probably had it suggested to him, you know? And YouTube goes out and pushes my channel to people. Um Ray, still rooting for 500K in July. That may happen because I'm going to hit 345 tomorrow. I will hit 345 tomorrow. So 350 will be in about 4 days. So probably by Wednesday, 350. And you know, and another month and a half to get to 400. Um, do I think double K? Oh, million, no problem. I'll easily get to a million. Um, thanks, GeForce. I will easily get to a million. I think I can get to 3 million. I think I get. I think I can hit. I don't see a reason. I think a lot of YouTube. And I don't mean this egotistically. I just think that the thing I have going on my side is diversity, because I'm not bound to any genre of music really. Um, and you know, I'm not. I can talk about modern classical music. I can talk about jazz. I can talk about rock music, any genre, production values, you know, recording, mixing. Um, it's as long as I have my memory, um, everything music times 32. Thanks, Tom. Um, but yeah, I don't see a limit. I mean, 1 million will be easy to get to. I mean, it'll take work, uh, take a lot of work, but but I think that I really think that there's a lot of different styles of music videos on YouTube, and I watch I study YouTube. I do. I study other YouTubers. Was watching Jordan Peterson's videos today. Um, I watched a talk he did with Camille Paglia, who was so hyper it was almost impossible to watch. I think it was supposed to be a discussion between the two of them, but she would never stop talking. But and then I watched a lecture on depression that he did back in 2009, which was very interesting. And then I watched an hour of a lecture on the Bible that's was from a 2.5 hour live stream. Um, so, anyways, but if you look at certain types of videos, for example, the shredder videos, shredder people have a range of how many subscribers they can get. People that do pedal demos have a range of people they can get. Um, uh, if you have to either have something, you have to either be doing music stuff that is you have to be doing musical content that either touches on popular music through production or something like that, or um you can't just be locked into one thing. You can't say, okay, I'm going to be um I'm going to just do pedal demos, or I'm just going to do uh shredder guitar videos, or I'm just going to do because every or I'm just going to do jazz improvisation videos. The limit on jazz improvisation videos is probably 130,000 subscribers. There's just not that many people on YouTube that are interested in jazz. As much as it pains me to say that, um, and um, and so anyways, if you can touch upon, um, if you can touch upon, more popular styles of music in addition to doing the other stuff, in addition to touching on jazz, touching on modern classical music, things like that. I don't think that there's a limit. Um, I think that, that 2, 3 million views, no problem. Um, anyway, so signing off with Jordan Peterson. He's so busy now. Uh, it's interesting. I have friends that are like Jordan Peterson. I think what works for him is that he's politically, since he's Canadian, he doesn't get bogged down into he doesn't get bogged down into the U.S. politics. Um, that I think that's very helpful for him. But um, uh, and it's interesting to hear his perspectives on college, on on college campuses, since um, because I haven't been on a college campus in 25 years. So let's see here. Rob says you saw a comment when you were called that. Saw a comment where you called that guy. He did not understand your piece. You have many videos for everyone. I don't understand why they would watch what they don't like. Vanilla Man. What was that about? I can't remember that. I remember that comment a little bit. Um, I thought, wasn't it, Rob? Wasn't it chocolate milk? I called the guy that it didn't have that he only likes the chocolate milk, as my brother calls it. Um, um, yes, I taught at Ithaca, Claude. I taught at Ithaca, and I mean, 25, 30 years ago. Over 30 years ago, I started there. It's pretty scary. Um, yeah, it's interesting, nerd, because Aaron was the one that told me about Jordan. My assistant, Aaron, he told me about Jordan way back when he started here last year, and I went and looked at Jordan. He's had content on YouTube for 10 years, and so and he just really blew up in the last year. Um, Claude, you went to SUNY Potsdam. So I went to SUNY Fredonia for a semester, and I transferred to Ithaca. Um, um, yes, Music Modernization Act. Um, what do I think of Elliott Smith's music? I love Elliott Smith's music. We live in Ithaca, Michigan. What's my opinion? Beck, I was just talking about Beck the other day. He just played in Atlanta. Somebody I know just went to see him. And I was talking about his dad, who I who wrote some string arrangements for me on a few different records. Um, um, his dad is brother. Why am I forgetting this now? Somebody. What's Beck's dad's name? He's an arranger. He mostly does string arrangements. Um, what is it? Big Beck? No, come on, somebody. What's Beck's dad's name? David Campbell. Thank you, David Campbell. So I last worked with him probably in 2005. He um he did string arrangements. I don't even remember the record. I don't even remember. But he did a nice job. He did okay. Um I know that he did them at the last minute, and and I talked to him. The label wanted me to use him. Um and and he definitely phoned it in. Um okay, Big Wreck. I like Ian Thornley a lot. I love the first Thornley solo record. It's great. Glenn Fricker gave me a shout out yesterday. Nice. On what? About what? I mean, um, sounding off with Jordan Peterson. I'll work on that. Um, when did I learn about Phrygian, Lydian, and Locrian triads? This is stuff that I did with that Iden. He used those terms back 35 years ago, and we just started using them on gigs and things like that, and then our charts. And that was it. We started using it. I started using it with my students, and then everybody I knew just used it. So long time ago. Oh, it's very cool of Glenn. Um, what do I think about a person who do impressions? Is there an overlap to musical talent? Be able to say a voice in your head? I think people that can do impressions are amazing. People that do great impressions are incredibly good, incredibly cool. I really enjoy them. Um, yeah. Um, Somebody asked me about cracking the code. Troy Grady. I've seen a couple of Troy's um, things. I saw a video that he did with Frank Gambale, but the best part of the video was when Frank was warming up at the beginning. He played an couple amazing lines, unbelievable. Um, yeah, really, really cool. Um, Jimmy Fallon is great at impressions. My God, he's unbelievable. Um, I wanted to mention this. I was thinking about this before I came on. My mom passed away 2 years ago today, and I think about her all the time. I talked to my mom. I've mentioned this before, at least once a day, if not twice a day, for probably 20 years, 25 years. Definitely after my dad passed away, I talked to my mom all the time. Um, and I was talking with my brother about this, that my brother started exercising, my youngest brother. And my mom used to go to the gym. She about probably 3, 4 days a week. She'd go and take these water aerobics classes. Um, she she started doing it. My mom got hit by a car when she was 65 years old. She was crossing the street. Um, this little town that we lived in was called Fairport, New York, and it was around dusk. My mom went to this restaurant to pick up some food for my mom and dad. Um, and my mom put on this orange jacket, and she walked it's probably about 150 yards to this restaurant. Literally, you have to go across Main Street in our town. We lived two houses. We were the second house in on the street that we lived on. And my mom walks out, and my dad has a table set. Nothing. My mom doesn't come back, and all of a sudden, my dad hears police sirens and ambulances, and he says, "What's going on here?" So he walked out to the front porch, and he saw my mom laying in the road. My mom got hit. She got clipped crossing the street wearing an orange jacket by some guy driving a Porsche. And she got thrown about 20 feet, knocked unconscious, broke her pelvis, broke a bunch of stuff. She had about 20 stitches in her head. My mom was unconscious and bleeding in the middle of the street. And this was the guy pulled out from this business. It's right behind where our house was. And I mean, he hit my mom walking in a crosswalk, um, wearing an orange jacket. And his mirror on the right side of the car clipped her and just picked her up and threw her. My mom wasn't big, she was 120 pounds, but she survived. Probably starting to get dark. It was not dark. It was still light out. But my dad saw her laying in the road, and there was a police officer that was walking up was walking up to the house. My mom survived. She got out. She, had a broken pelvis, all this stuff, but she got better, and she started going to the gym. And and um she went to the gym for years, all the way till she was about 83 or 84. And she lived on her own until she was 89. And when she was 89 on Mother's Day, had a stroke. My mom wasn't big on taking medication. She had high blood pressure, and I don't think she took her medicine. And she had a stroke, and um, she ended up going to a nursing home about 300 yards from our house. And she lived for another year and passed away 2 years ago. At 90. She was 90 years old when she died. She was 90 and a half. And but she lived on her own until she was 89 years old. But my brother and I were talking about, do we think mom would have lived that long had she not worked out all the time? That's kind of an interesting question, because my mom had an aunt that lived to be 103 that never worked out, my Aunt Fran. My Aunt Phil she was 100. She never worked out. That was my mom's aunt. And my mom has another aunt that's still living that's 96. My Aunt Marge. So that's my mom's aunt that's still living. So and my mom's sister, my Aunt Virginia, I want to say is 91. She's 91 now. She's doing pretty well. I know my Aunt Fran, who lived to be 103. I picked her up one time for a shower for my brother, and when his wife was getting married. Picked her up. She was 96 at the time, and she jumped in my car, no problem. She grabbed the strap and just pulled herself up into an SUV. No sweat. 96 years old. So and Aunt Fran never had a cavity. I always talk about that. I think that's amazing. Never once. She died at 103 with all her own teeth. So there you go, right? That's genetics. Anyway, so yeah, so I could probably do my channel until um probably until at least 90, no problem. All had their memories. Every one of them had incredible memories. Never ever, you know, no dementia in my family at all. Um, so yeah, it's good. It's yeah, how many people double K have lived on the planet to 100 and never had a cavity? Um, that's pretty insane, right? I don't think that Aunt Fran had a special diet or anything. So, yeah, probably very small. I mean, like, how do you not get a cavity? It's unbelievable. What was her diet? I have no idea what Aunt Fran ate. She lived on her own for years. Um, she lived on her own until she was 100. Uh, um, and lived alone. I mean, her husband died, oh man, probably in the 80s, something like that. And she passed away. Aunt Fran passed away probably 5 years ago. She was born in 1912, I think it was. I think she passed away in 2015. She passed away a year before my mom. No, 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 no. 2014, 2015. Yeah, she passed away close to when my mom did. Um, I'm not even halfway there. Is that true? No, 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 no. I'm halfway there. 56 and 56 is 112, but I'm a little past halfway. Um, but yeah, I could theoretically, if I think about my parents, um, my dad, if he was a musician and he had YouTube, if he had a YouTube channel, he easily could have done it until he was in his 80s, no problem. Um, easily. My dad was totally cool. My mom, no problem, could have done it till 89. She easily could have done it. She was so together. She was hilarious. She could talk to anybody. She could talk to people that were um, she could talk to people in their 20s, and she had friends. My mom had tons of friends. Shoddy dentistry causes most cavities, mostly genetic. Though that's true. Wait, harvester of tone? You're 40, never had a cavity? Impressive. Who on here has never had a cavity? That's um George, I hear you about your dad. I think about my dad every day. I'm sorry for your loss. I know. It never, you know, my dad died in 2004. Um you've had at least 4, you're not even 20. Um Chris, you're working on Fort Knox? Nerd, you, but you're 18. Okay. That's good. Well, they have better dentistry now. 38, never had any cavities. Awesome. People that live less than 15, eat less than 1,500 calories live longer. You know what? I would bet that my Aunt Fran ate less than 1,500 calories a day. I would bet. And if sugar contributes to dementia, my dad should have had dementia because he ate a ton of sugar, and so did my mom. Um, so we've never ever, no one in our family on either side has ever had dementia, no Alzheimer's. No matter how long anyone lived, anybody that lived to 100, no memory loss at all. Um, you never did until you had braces, all downhill after that. Man, that's a nightmare of flossing and doing stuff like that with braces. Dylan's been dealing with that. Oh boy. I never had braces. None of my siblings had braces. 7 kids, no braces. Um, so, um, yeah, anyways, so yeah, so anybody that hasn't subscribed to my Instagram, subscribe to my Instagram because it's I'm gonna be putting a lot of stuff on there. Water pick is good, Robert, the water pick is good with braces. Dylan uses a water pick. So let's see here. Yeah, 7 kids. Tom, you're gonna get Gary Busey teeth. um, yeah, it's interesting that it's not just living long, it's being completely hip. I mean, my mom was totally hip, and so was my dad. They weren't they weren't like old people, even in their 80s. They just they just weren't like that. You could talk to my mom about anything. I never even thought about it. I never thought about um this is fascinating. My mom knew so many tunes. She knew the lyrics and she could sing thousands of songs. What's up, Brett? And my dad, oh man, they knew thousands of songs, thousands of standards. When I was learning how to play jazz in high school, any tune that I opened up in the real book, I asked my mom or dad, "Do you know this tune?" "Oh yeah, of course." Laura, or How High the Moon, or Here's That Rainy Day, or Around Midnight, or How Insensitive. You name it, they knew all of them. My dad knew every bossa nova. He knew every famous thing, and then incredibly obscure tunes they would know. Just anything they knew. My mom would sing. My mom would go to she heard this stuff, and she remembered songs that she heard when she was. My mom went to see The Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind at the theater in 1939, when they both came out the same year. Um, but five. It was a nickel to go to the movies. I think she said a nickel. Um, your dad was a schmoozer, Chris. There you go. Not a loser. Be a schmoozer, not a loser. Your granddad's awesome. You're a product of your environment. They were the GL of jazz. um, Mom tells you a story about she found a quarter, had lunch, saw a movie. The church I went to, um, we're Catholics. The church that I went to, that we all went to, was about probably 400 yards from our house. And I would go to mass on Saturday afternoons by myself. And I remember one time I was walking back and I found $8 on on the ground, walking home from church. And then I couldn't believe it. I told my mom, I said, I found $8 walking home from church. She said, "Well, there you go." And then about a month later, I found 20 bucks. Same spot. I think somebody put it there though. um, 80 degrees in Michigan, Steve. Yeah, it was 80 degrees here in Atlanta. It's been incredibly hot. Okay, Grandpa Simpson. I think that's funny though, right? I came back and I was like, "Mom, I found $20." She said, "What, in the same place?" And she probably put it there. Anyways, pretty funny. Um, but I put half of it. No, I was coming home from church. Actually, I wasn't going to church. IBJ. Let's see. I collected comics as a kid. My mom told me she did too. She had the first Batman and Superman. Oh my god. Oh man. Had. Um, God was testing me. Her mom threw him out. Of course. Um, Newer to your channel. What brought me to Atlanta? So my mom is from blah, blah, blah. My parents are from upstate New York. Um, I moved down to Atlanta 24 years ago in November. I was on my way to move to Austin, Texas, and I just stopped here. It was very random, very, very random. So I don't have any of all my family's still in upstate, up near Rochester. Um, I'm gonna have on my friend Doug, who's the reason I'm here, because Doug, he's a lawyer in town here. We were roommates junior year of school, right after me and Smitty, the year after. As a matter of fact, Smitty dropped out of school that year, and the year after, we didn't talk about this, but Smitty quit school after we lived together sophomore year, moved back to Rochester and started waiting tables, and then he um, he bought a house, which he kept for a couple of years, fixed up and sold, and he took the money from selling it and bought all that recording gear. Um, he dropped my drum book on the way to the older kid picked it up for me. Thought the nice kid wanted to pay $4 for drum lesson, and the 20 was gone. Nice kid. Oh man, George, lesson learned, right? Yeah. So Smitty, I mean, Paul is such an interesting guy, man. He bought the house, Double K in 1982, and he had it 82 and 83, and he made probably 40 grand on it. What does Smitty do now? He's like he works in the healthcare industry. He's an executive. He's he's a really successful executive. I mean, he's I don't know exactly what he's doing in his new job here. Um but it's amazing that Smitty is how good he is. I mean, when I say that he plays like Jocko on the bass, he plays fretless bass like Jocko, and he played guitar like Wes. And I mean, he's the best octave player I ever saw by far. And then became a great pianist. I mean, he was I mean, he hasn't sat down and played piano in 5 years probably, not at all. What's up, Subi? Uh anyway, but man, it's crazy how long we've known each other. Is Smitty an exception to the 10,000 hour rule? Yes. Well, He put his 10,000 hours in on the guitar for sure. Um, he just could pick up stuff. He just was really, really good. Uh, he's such a great listener. Um, I don't believe in the 10,000 hour rule anyways. And I'll tell you why. No, I'm not what's the triggered by this. Um and it's because of people like Smitty that I don't believe in the 10,000 hour rule. Um as a matter of fact, I didn't, you know, I mean, did I don't know how many hours. I mean, I started guitar at 13. They say 3 hours a day for 10 years. Yeah, I probably had 10,000 hours, and I'm sure I had 10,000 hours in when I was became a college professor, but, um, but, other people can do things for way longer than the 10,000 hours, and they don't master things. So I don't think um, I don't think that it's, that there's any relevance to that. Tom, it took you 100,000 hours. Come on, man. You haven't been playing guitar 100,000 hours, have you? Maybe you have. It's a lot of hours. Um, Iden was a virtuoso from birth. He was. Iden is wired differently than everyone else. Um, it felt like it, Tom. Okay. Did I reflect on my own playing level when I turned 27? Um, I don't know if I reflect on my own playing level. I always, I keep improving all the time. I think. I mean, I don't have the chops like I had, because I don't improvise. I don't play gigs like I did. I mean, when Paul and I were hanging out, we played 5 nights a week, different gigs. We weren't even on the same gig all the time, but we were um, always playing gigs. And there's no substitute for that. If I went out and started playing gigs 5 nights a week of my own original music, I'd be, 1,000 times better than I am. And I think that there's a fluidity to your ideas when you're doing that, because I'm thinking, I did all improvisational gigs. But uh I think it takes longer to get new things in your playing when you get older. It's more difficult to think. I don't know if your brain is as fluid as it is in your 20s and 30s. Um, but I think some of that has to do with the kind of, I think uh, I think that no, I was going to say your brain isn't as fluid for improvisation, but yet but your cumulative knowledge trumps everything, because ultimately, if you have a great memory and you keep studying, your cumulative knowledge, you should be at the end of your life the best musician that you that you've been in your entire life. Historically, every great composer did all their best compositions, most adventuresome. Beethoven, Bach, Mozart, all of them did their best work at the very end of their life, even though they were incredibly ill. So, because they were always pushing the envelope. So, yet I bet that they didn't improvise as well as they did when they were in their 20s or 30s. Michael Brecker, yes, Matt, it said that he practiced stuff and it'd take 3 months for it to show up in his playing. I saw that. Um, yeah, so playing wise, it's easier to do things like change your technique when you're younger. Um, if there's things that you haven't done technique wise, it's really difficult to change your technique as you get older. but yet knowledge-wise, I know a million times more now than I did when I was in my 20s. I mean, I knew nothing compared to what I know now in my 20s. Um, Tom, yes, it's tough getting your chops back, but, uh but you can totally get it back. I mean, I have the problems with my thumb. That's the only thing is that, and it's coming, some days it feels great, other days it doesn't feel great. I'm doing this thing now where I'm not eating. I'm going doing 16-hour fasts every day, and it helps tremendously with the pain. It's really helping a lot. But I still, even then, I still got this index finger still hurts. Um, I broke my fingers a lot playing basketball when I was a kid. Intermittent fasting. That's right. That's what I'm doing. Double K. Oh, IF. Okay, thanks, Matt. um, why does that help, Chris? It helps because the fasting, intermittent fasting, reduces inflammation. When you're not eating, your your body is not. There's so many foods that inflame the body, and I know this from going on these. I would go on these cleanses once a year where I would eat only green vegetables and drink water and protein, but all the protein was all antibiotic free stuff. And I would go on this for 5 weeks and lose 40 pounds. But invariably, the first 4 days would be incredibly hard. And after that, I'd be so alert, and I would just have incredible amounts of energy. And I never, ever, ever had any pain in my body at all during that time. Um, Brett, you haven't missed a day of 3-hour practice in 31 years. And if you did travel part of your day, I thought everybody did it. Um, well, 3 hours a day. I don't do 3 hours a day of practice. I wish I did, but I do about 16 hours a day of music. So uh, that hasn't stopped in God, I don't know how long. I mean, minimum 12 hours a day of music. Um, if it's the right industry, it could be the mouse wheel. You're probably right. It probably is that mouse wheel. It hurts right in that first joint right there. Um, 3 hours a month, Subi. um, anyways, yeah, this stuff is fascinating though. I'm really when I was watching those videos earlier today, I watch other YouTube videos. I mean, look, I watch stuff to learn all the time, but typically the stuff that I watch is not music related. Um, do I have more to learn in music? Just a matter of outputting what's inside your brain. Um, well, I have music. There's a lot of music to learn. I wouldn't say if it's I have to learn any techniques or anything like that. Um, I mean, look, if I had to write you know, I don't know, some crazy, crazy rhythms that I wouldn't have to learn anything. But if I were to transcribe a Vinnie Colaiuta drum solo, um, uh, I would, I could do it, no problem, but it would take some work. Um, Especially when he starts getting into the odd groupings or any type of metric modulations, I'd have to think about how to write that out. Um, but most of the stuff that I watch are you know, things based in science or philosophy um, or history. I've been watching Joe Rogan. I've watched his podcast or his video podcast. Um, and but I study these people. I do. I admit it. I study people's. I study people's. I look at everything. I'm right down to Joe uses an SM7 for his vocals. I look at the presentation of of that. Oh, I'm working on a drum video right now, George. My video that I'm going to put out tomorrow. Um, so I'm doing a video on feel. Um, I'm not sure what to call it though. Um, I'm doing a video on feel or groove, and oh, you're talking the gang, not me. Okay. Do I study people for presenting their style? Yes. Well, and for content too. It's interesting to me. Um, it's interesting to me. I I I study them for their flow of conversation, for how they present their show technically. Um, for example, when I was watching this Jordan Peterson, Camille Paglia video today, not only was I interested in what they were saying, well, I wasn't that interested in what she was saying. I mean, I've no, no I've she's kind of she's kind of had the same, she's been talking about the same things for the last 30 years. And she way overtalked Jordan in the video, and it was not that interesting because um, there was no back and forth between them, or there's very little. But I love the way that it was lit and it was shot with two cameras, which was really interesting. So I think it's not easy to overtalk Jordan. Oh, she was so hyper there he couldn't get a word in. Um, she kept saying, "Okay, okay." She did. You saw that. It was driving me nuts. Um, what's my favorite area of science, Rob? Um, I don't know. I'm interested in a lot of different areas of science. I like astronomy. I like biology. Um, I like you know, I like earth sciences. I mean, I'm interested in all different types of science. Um, I like it all. I love Vsauce. Um, I had a question up here. I can't figure out how to scroll back here. Hold on. Random question, Eli. Is important succeeding ability to sight read well in the realms of live performance, film scoring as a composer? I don't think, you have to, I don't think you have to sight read that well. I don't think it's that important. I mean, it's good to sight read well, but unless you're going to be sight reading on a gig, it doesn't really matter. Physics, neuroscience, fascinated with neuroscience. I mean, you guys have heard me talk about neuroscience all the time. I love acoustics. I love science. I should have been a scientist. I am a scientist. Brett Jordan, who Jordan Peterson, he's a guy that's kind of become really big over the last year. He's a professor at the University of Toronto. He went to McGill University, I think, and got his. I don't know if he got his doctorate there. He might have gotten his I think he got his doctorate at Harvard, and then he was a professor at Harvard for 5 years, and then I think he was a professor at McGill, and then a professor at University of Toronto, and he's my age, and he just blew up because of some random video, and he went from 300,000. He's been uploading for 10 years on YouTube. He went from 300,000 to 1 million over the past year, and so um, anyways, I'm a musicologist. Economics, the dismal science. I love that word, double K. I love dismal. I remember a one of the most horrible bands, Puddle of Mud, that my buddy Jason told was reading this Rolling Stone back when we were roommates, and whenever it was, and he said, or he called me. It was he called me. He's like, "Man, I was reading the new Rolling Stone, and they were reviewing the Puddle of Mud, and he said they had the best line in there." I said, "What was it?" He goes, because he said mud has two D's. He said the second D was for dismal. Of course, that's not as bad as my friend Rob was in a band that was signed to Epic Records, and I said, "What's the worst review you ever got of your record, Rob?" And he said some guy hated our band so much. He said, "I hope this is terrible. I hope they get as big as the Beatles so somebody assassinates the lead singer." Somebody actually wrote that in a somebody wrote that in some paper. Um it's that is so not right, right? He laughed he thought it was the funniest thing ever, and it was about him. Um Yeah, so Daryl is going to be selling Chris on Flat Five. His courses are going to be up there. My courses are going to be up on Flat Five, probably next week. So I'm shifting over to Flat Five. I have a new course coming out too that I'm working on now. Um. Anyways, there's dismal comment. It is a dismal comment, but the second D was for dismal. Where do I fall on the political spectrum? I fall. I don't talk about politics. That's where I fall. I don't talk about politics even though I am I spend more time reading about politics than anything, way more than on music every day, believe it or not. I'm obsessed with politics. We actually coexist. Oh, I have friends on all sides of the political spectrum, really good friends. I have siblings on all sides of the political spectrum. Do I like non-English music? Yeah, I like a lot of German music. I love all types of music. Smart man opinions you don't have. Bravo for not talking about politics. Okay, but I'd love to know what people think I am. If um when I say German music, I mean like, Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, right? Um Politics is the only subject. Okay, if you were to say what whether I'm a liberal, a conservative, a libertarian, an anarchist, Um, you know, pragmatist, libertarian, illibertarian, um, capitalist, libertarian, undecided. You're liberal because you're creative, but you're conservative because you're orderly and work hard. Right wing independent, Lib Dem, libertarian, librarian, um, Republicrat, center right, Republican, independent, conservative, Lydian party, center left. I thought Savage, smart and kind party, common sense humanist, Whig, libertarian, with center right leanings, um, alt right dominant, southern low green, low greenocrat. um, just guesses. That's pretty good, right? That's pretty good. That no one knows. Secular humanist, wouldn't try to guess. Separatist, just guesses. Nobody really knows. Flat ninocrat. I'm not telling. I'm not telling. I don't talk politics. Authoritarian dictatorship. You like to use the banhammer way too much. um, what publications do I read? I read, if you were to see my publications I read, you'd have no idea because I read publications on both sides of the political spectrum. You would have no idea from looking at what I read. No idea. No possible way. And don't let the Jordan Peterson thing fool you either. Um, um, even though I think that some of his discussions are fascinating. Um, um, Joe Rogan is a conservative. I think Joe Rogan's more of a libertarian. Um, what's your news channel? Um, I don't really. I don't really have a news channel. I wouldn't say. Um, Joe, jo, Josh Rogan is an actor. You like him, and Josh Rogan. Um, so have I ever heard about the murderous oranges in the Godfather movie? I don't know what that is. No. I'm not a typical party liner. Absolutely not. No way. How do I know what I read is true? Um, um, every time you see an orange, someone dies in a movie. Is that really right? Um, that's not true, is it? Every time someone sees an orange in the movie, I'm gonna watch it again. I've watched The Godfather, um, probably 100 times this year already. Um, Marlon Brando has an orange in his mouth when he dies. He was playing with his grandson. Um, Watch a video of Murderous Oranges. Yeah. You know what, Chris? It is a great soundtrack, and I would love to do a video on the soundtrack of The Godfather. I'm definitely gonna do that. That's a great, great idea. I've been talking about that. Anyways, okay, I gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta go. So this thing works then. This is a new thing. I'm not using OBS. I'm using I'm using the app in YouTube and it seems to work. It doesn't crash and it sounds good enough, right? You guys are cool. I could be lit better, I know. Thank you. You guys are the best.